Connecticut State Police Trooper shoots robbery suspect who pulled out a revolver. A Connecticut State Police Trooper is caught up in a high-stakes altercation where he must make a split-second decision that could permanently alter people's lives. Watch the dramatic moments when law enforcement comes across a robbery suspect brandishing a pistol in this riveting new film. What happens in those crucial moments? Was the trooper right to respond as they did? Come along as we go into the core of this compelling story, examining the difficulties of making split-second decisions, the intricacies of police work, and the lasting effects of a single fateful encounter. Are you prepared to learn the real meaning of the badge? Watch now to see the drama develop in real life right before your eyes. Robbery call. Amidst the daily commotion, a startling and pressing call echoes through the Connecticut State Police Headquarters hallways. A nearby convenience store is being robbed. Officers, adrenaline pumping through them, launch themselves into action, training taking effect as they get ready to face the crisis head-on. The seriousness of the call consumes them as they race to the scene, knowing that their reaction may make the difference between life and death. The anxiety grows with each second that goes by, emphasizing the dangers and uncertainties that come with wearing the badge. It serves as a sobering reminder of the law enforcement professionals' unwavering sense of responsibility and the selflessness with which they respond to it, willing to risk their lives in order to safeguard and assist their community. Confrontation with suspect. Officers from the Connecticut State Police engage a suspect whose actions immediately exacerbate the situation when they arrive at the scene of the reported robbery. The suspect's actions and manner exacerbate the already tense situation as the cops approach warily, responding as they would if their training and experience dictated. Officers are under pressure to react quickly and evaluate the situation, while keeping in mind the dangers that the suspect's actions may cause. Every step they take and every choice they make is closely examined as they manage the tightrope between maintaining public safety and diffusing a situation. The meeting with the suspect escalates into a high-stakes altercation in the heat of the moment, emphasizing the tremendous pressure and split-second decision-making that law enforcement personnel deal with on a daily basis. The suspect's activities increase the element of uncertainty as cops try to take control of the situation, adding to the hazards and difficulties that come with being a police officer. It's a crucial moment that highlights the commitment and bravery of law enforcement personnel who face danger head-on in order to safeguard communities and enforce the law. Use of lethal force. As tensions between the Connecticut State Police and the robbery suspect get more intense, a crucial moment is reached that finally results in the use of deadly force. A trooper decides in a single second to pull the trigger in reaction to the suspect flashing a handgun in an attempt to minimize the perceived threat and protect everyone else present. The sound of gunfire echoes through the atmosphere, heightening the stress and emphasizing how serious the situation is. The impact of the trooper's actions reverberates throughout the neighborhood as the dust settles and the sounds of the gunfire fade, raising concerns and scrutiny about the use of fatal force by law enforcement officials. Authorities are entrusted with conducting a comprehensive inquiry to determine if the use of deadly force was justified within the confines of the law and departmental standards. As this is going on, the suspect, whose fate is now linked to the conclusion of the ongoing investigation, is quickly taken to the hospital for medical attention. The use of deadly force during the altercation highlights how difficult and intricate law enforcement work is, as officers frequently have to make split-second judgments in situations where lives are at stake. It draws attention to the inherent risks that police officers must deal with on a daily basis and the enormous responsibility that comes with defending their communities. The incident serves as a sobering reminder of the difficulties associated with police work and the necessity of openness, responsibility, and careful examination in situations involving the use of force as investigations move forward and more information becomes available. Discussion on police use of force. A wider conversation about police use of force regulations and procedures is sparked by the incident involving the use of lethal force by a Connecticut State Police Trooper. As more information about the incident becomes available, the public is left wondering if using deadly force was necessary in this particular instance, and what conditions led to it. Proponents of police reform emphasize the necessity for in-depth investigations into events involving the use of force and want greater accountability and openness in law enforcement operations. On the other hand, Proponents of law enforcement emphasize the risks that officers inevitably confront in high-stress circumstances and the significance of providing them with the resources and instruction required to safeguard both the public and themselves. The event highlights the necessity for continual review and improvement of the policies already in place, controlling the use of force by law enforcement. There are discussions on the de-escalation theory and other non-lethal force alternatives to conflict resolution. Policymakers, law enforcement officers, and community people converse about how to reduce the likelihood of violent incidents and encourage safer relationships between police and the communities they serve. In the end, the event acts as a trigger for thoughtful analysis of the intricate relationships within law enforcement and the continuous endeavors to achieve a harmonious union between individual liberties and public safety. Complexities of firearms use. The event in which a Connecticut State Police Trooper used lethal force highlights the complex nature of the use of guns by law enforcement. Law enforcement personnel rely on firearms as effective instruments to defend themselves and others from immediate threats, yet using a firearm has serious risks and complications. Officers must complete extensive training to become proficient with firearms and marksmanship. They also need to get thorough teaching on the moral and legal ramifications of using lethal force. Even with training, though, police frequently have to make snap decisions in high-stress scenarios when there is little room for error. In addition, there are controls and checks on the use of guns by law enforcement, and every use of lethal force must be thoroughly investigated to see it was appropriate in the given situation. A number of variables come into play when determining whether an officer's actions were reasonable, including the perceived danger level, the presence of innocent bystanders, and the availability of less lethal options. Furthermore, the use of weapons can have serious repercussions for the community as a whole, as well as for the people involved, possibly undermining public confidence in police enforcement. Law enforcement organizations must therefore constantly assess their firearms-related policies and procedures in an effort to strike a careful balance between protecting the rights and welfare of all parties concerned and guaranteeing officer safety. Ongoing investigation. An investigation into the event involving the use of fatal force by a Connecticut State Police Trooper is currently underway to ascertain whether the use of lethal force was appropriate in accordance with departmental and legal guidelines. Law enforcement officials must undertake a comprehensive and objective analysis of the incident's circumstances to piece together the sequence of events leading up to the incident. This investigation includes obtaining evidence, speaking with witnesses, and evaluating forensic data. In order to maintain accountability and transparency during the investigation, oversight organizations and community members may also be involved. To preserve the integrity of the investigation and preserve public confidence, law enforcement personnel must follow stringent standards and procedures as the case moves forward. A comprehensive and objective evaluation of the trooper's actions is expected by stakeholders, who will closely monitor any findings or conclusions emerging from the investigation. The investigation's conclusion will have a significant impact on law enforcement procedures and policies in general, as well as the parties directly involved. All parties impacted by the tragedy will eventually receive clarification and closure from the continuing investigation, which also aims to promote increased responsibility and openness among law enforcement. Broader implications. The event in which a Connecticut State Police Trooper used lethal force has far-reaching consequences that go beyond the specifics and affect the community as well as law enforcement organizations. It acts as a sobering reminder of the difficulties and dangers that come with becoming a police officer, inspiring thoughtful consideration of use of force guidelines, officer education, and accountability systems. The incident may also have an adverse effect on the public's confidence in law enforcement, underscoring the necessity of open and exhaustive investigations into incidents involving the use of lethal force. Furthermore, it emphasizes the need for law enforcement organizations and the communities they serve to meaningfully interact and collaborate in order to create mutual understanding, respect, and accountability. These points are highlighted in the current discourse surrounding police-community relations. In the end, the event spurs a group analysis of structural problems and the pursuit of changes meant to encourage more secure, fair, and just relationships between law enforcement and the general people. Call for transparency. Many stakeholders, including members of the community, advocacy organizations, and legislators, have loudly called for openness in the wake of the Connecticut State Police Trooper's use of lethal force incident. Following the incident, there has been an increase in the desire for transparent, accountable investigations that offer thorough details about the events leading up to the use of lethal force. In order to ensure accountability for the acts of the officers involved in such occurrences, and to develop public trust and confidence in law enforcement institutions, transparency is considered to be crucial. The policies, practices, and training guidelines controlling the use of force by law enforcement are also under pressure to be more transparent, with the goal of encouraging better knowledge and supervision of these crucial facets of policing. In general, the demand for openness is a reflection of a larger dedication to encouraging responsibility, developing mutual respect, and establishing deep communication between law enforcement and the communities they protect, and echoing across the neighborhood and police departments. It acts as a sobering reminder of the difficulties and dangers that come with becoming a police officer, inspiring thoughtful consideration of use of force guidelines, officer education, and accountability systems. The incident may also have an adverse effect on the public's confidence in law enforcement, underscoring the necessity of open and exhaustive investigations into incidents involving the use of lethal force. Furthermore, it emphasizes the need for law enforcement organizations and the communities they serve to meaningfully interact and collaborate in order to create mutual understanding, respect, and accountability. These points are highlighted in the current discourse surrounding police-community relations. In the end, the event spurs a group analysis of structural problems and the pursuit of changes meant to encourage more secure, fair, and just relationships between law enforcement and the general people. Potential repercussion. There are serious possible fallout effects from this Connecticut State Police Trooper's use of fatal force episode that go well beyond the immediate aftermath. First and foremost, depending on the conclusion of the investigation and any conclusions regarding the rationale for their actions, the trooper in question may face legal repercussions. This could entail disciplinary actions taken within the law enforcement organization in addition to civil or criminal prosecutions. Furthermore, the episode can have wider effects on the relationship between the police and the community, thereby undermining public confidence in law enforcement. It might also strengthen the case for police reform, which would include improved officer training guidelines, more accountability measures, and revised use of force policies. Furthermore, the incident might start more general discussions about systemic problems with the criminal justice system, such as unequal policing methods and the need for increased accountability and openness in law enforcement operations. In the end, the incident's possible consequences highlight the significance of a careful investigation, openness, and accountability in addressing concerns about police behavior and advancing public safety and trust. Subscribe now to stay informed on the latest developments in law enforcement incidents and critical discussions on police-community relations. Join our community dedicated to promoting transparency, accountability, and positive change within law enforcement agencies and the communities they serve. Don't miss out on exclusive content and insights into pressing issues shaping the future of policing. Subscribe today.